Alright guys, welcome back to another Metaplanet stock update. So I haven't updated Metaplanet on my channel for about 2 months already, right? I think it's like 1.5 months here. So before anyone gets their pitchforks out and says, oh, you only make Metaplanet videos when the stock is up, right? Calm down, because I didn't actually make any videos for about 1 month, right? You can see August 7th. My next published video was September 2nd, right? So this is because actually YouTube is not my main thing, right? I don't really get paid to do YouTube or whatever, right? I just do it because I enjoy it. But I do feel like I haven't updated Metaplanet for an extremely long time, right? And the last time we spoke about it, the shares were at 1,238 yen, right? And today it's at 700 yen, right? So it's been a brutal, like what, 86 days, right? So from the all-time high, it's down about 70%, right? And the first lesson here was this was an incredibly costly mistake for me to make, right? So if anyone remembers, I think in mid or even late June, I mentioned that this overbought signal, right? I need to pay attention to it, right? So going against my instincts, I did choose to ignore this signal, and look how much it's cost me, right? Minus 70% from the all-time high, right? So obviously, just because of the signal, I wouldn't have sold out of my whole position, right? But I could at least have sold out maybe 50%, maybe 60%, because from my entry price here, it was up about what? 1.5x already, right? So honestly, I have to admit that was a mistake, because for my other digital asset treasury plays, right, I just sold half or even sold the whole position when the stock doubled, right? So maybe marrying my position a bit with this, but you know, we live and we learn, right? But let this be a lesson, right? Next time I see an overbought signal, I'm not gonna rest on my laurels and say, you know, it's gonna go higher or whatever like that, right? I'll probably sell and just think be done with it, right? And wait for it to cool down. Maybe there's another chance to buy, right? But moving forward, right, what do I see moving forward? We can see that the Metaplanet stock actually bottomed out here today, right? So you can see Metaplanet stock actually had a huge bounce from 500 something yen until 700, right? And this is a bounce of 23%. And this is all today, right? Because they announced that they are raising $1.4 billion to buy more Bitcoin, right? And then some people might say, oh, they raised $1.4 billion, isn't that good? But if we scroll down a little here, right, you can see that this 500 something yen price was very important, right? Because they actually sold the shares at 532 yen per share, right? And that's a huge decrease from the nearly 2,000 yen of its all-time high, right? So some people might be saying, oh, you know, this is unfair and all. How can these institutions buy at such a big discount, right? And to that, I just have to say, yeah, it is what it is, right? Because we are retail investors, we don't have $1.4 billion to buy a Metaplanet stock, right? And them selling it at 532 is still value accretive, right? Because if we take a look at their Bitcoin holdings, so you take the 500 something and times the MNAV, right? I'm not going to do the exact math here, but it was like 1.2 to 1.3 times MNAV, right? So which is not that bad. It's not great, right? But at least you earn like 30%, right? So with this 1.4 billion, they earn actually about 300 something million dollars in straight up profit, right? Because they actually sold the stock higher than what is on their balance sheet, right? So they actually earn like 300 something million dollars straight to the balance sheet, right? Obviously, it's not as ideal as if we would have sold it at 1,000 or 1,200, right? But the one bright side of them raising this $1.5 billion is also Bitcoin is having a little dip here, right? From 123,000 all the way to 111,000, right? So hopefully by the time Metaplanet closes this offering, maybe Bitcoin is down at 100k or something like that, then they can add much more Bitcoin than if they would have bought at 120, right? So that's maybe a saving grace, right? And then the last thing I want to talk about regarding Metaplanet is this Metaplanet prefers, right? And what are my thoughts on it, right? So preferreds are another way of having debt, right? But without the time to repay the debt, right? So you don't get forced to, like, someone will say, oh, you have to pay me this debt in 2026. So what happens if we are in a Bitcoin bear market and the stock is extremely depressed in the bear market? Then they still have to dilute to pay back if it's a bond, right? But in this case, it's a preferred, right? And preferreds basically allows you to take on leverage without the time preference risk, right? This is the issues why banks always blow up, right? Because they lend out long duration and they have a short duration, which is their deposits, right? So anytime you have a lot of people withdrawing money, it's a run on the bank, right? And if this case, if Metaplanet has a bond and they don't repay the debt, that's a default, right? That's also equivalent to a bank going bankrupt, right? So basically, they don't have to ever pay back the principal, but they do have to pay interest on it, right? And the interest that they set on it is about 5%, right? And that is partially the reason that they raised this 1.4 billion also, right? To have a stronger balance sheet to start running this preferred strategy, right? So to understand why they are doing the preferreds, you have to understand what is their basic assumptions, right? And their basic assumptions is that Bitcoin will continue to go up 30% a year, right? And that's why we're paying 5% interest, so we can eat the 25% spread if it goes up 30% a year. And I don't exactly like this reasoning, right? Because Bitcoin can go sideways for the next 5 or 10 years, like gold or something like that, and then they break out and there's a giant move to 200 300k, right? But if you project it linearly, you'll be paying so much and diluting shareholders so much, right? So at this current point in time, it is still intelligent leverage, right? Because let's say if you buy a Bitcoin at 120k with the preferreds, and then it goes up to 150k, right? But the issue is they never want to sell, right? And if you never want to sell, you're just gonna have to accept this volatility, right? And when it goes down, maybe creditors are less willing to lend you money. Maybe you have some issues selling stock to finance this preferred stocks, right? But I think for now, it's nothing to worry about. And they did say that they want to keep it at 25% of their Bitcoin stack, right? So if it's 25% of their Bitcoin stack, my only concern is what happens if Bitcoin goes down, right? And this is yielding actually 6%. Sorry, I got 5% wrongly, right? So this particular situation, we will have to monitor it, right? Because what happens if they do like 25% of their current Bitcoin stack, but Bitcoin goes down 50%, then it will be 50% of their Bitcoin stack, and it's 6% interest on 50% of their Bitcoin stack, right? You can do the math yourself, right? And that is where it starts to get concerning, right? So if Bitcoin stays flat or even goes up, then it's nothing to worry about. Oh yeah, and another thing that I wanted to mention, right, is this, right? I think this is us building out a lot of leverage, right? This is why I can see that the next Bitcoin bear market will be quite bad, right? Because you can see Kindly MD, which is Nakamoto, right? They commit 30 million in Metaplanet's Bitcoin-focused equity raise, right? So you can see BitMine actually put in an investment in this company as well, and it went up 5,000% in one day, right? So my point being, right, all this, right, a lot of their assets will start to become other companies' shares, which is dependent on a commodity price, right? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum. So if and when the decline comes, right, it's also possible there's no decline, right? Because all these treasuries just keep buying up until there's a supply shock, right? So if in that case, Bitcoin drops, Metaplanet stock will drop, and then Kindly MD, because they are holding Metaplanet as their assets, right, it also drops, right? So in this case, you can see a lot of liquidations and self-fulfilling prophecies, right? Just because one asset that they underlying all hold, right, start to drop, right? And this is actually exactly how the 2008 housing bubble turned into a housing bust, right? Because there's a lot of leverage plays like this, right? But again, this is just me warning ahead of time, right? Because these are some things that I'm looking at to dictate what I'm going to do in the future. But for now, I think the leverage is just starting to build up, right? They just started cross-investing into each other, and I don't see them using these equity stakes as leverage yet, right? If they start doing that, then yeah, I think that's going to be a big problem, right? So what's my conclusion with Metaplanet right now? For me, I think it's less risky than when I bought, right? When I bought, it was a 3 times MNAV with about 300 yen of Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Today, I think it's like 450 of nearly 500 yen of Bitcoin on its balance sheet, and it's trading at a 1.6 times MNAV, right? Sure, this can go down to 1 time, right? And that has happened with BMNR and also SBET, right? These are the Ethereum treasury strategies, right? And they have gone down to 1 times MNAV, right? But I think 1 times is the floor, right? Because the moment they hit 1 times, SBET announces that they are going to buy back stock. But I want to make it very clear, right? These are not buy and hold forever, right? If you have like 5 times MNAV, if you have 5 times MNAV on Metaplanet once again, I think I will be selling the stock, right? Or even 3-4 times, right? I think I need to start looking at trimming, right? Because these are just capital raising machines, right? So they need to lean towards investors, enthusiasm, and all of those things, right? They are not like an operating company where they get to dictate their future in the sense that they don't need to raise capital. So I don't need to listen to what investors have to say. All I have to do is continue focusing on my business, and the price per share will continue going up, right? That's not the case with Metaplanet, MicroStrategy, and all these Bitcoin treasury stocks, right? But the last thing I do want to mention, as I am still bullish on Metaplanet stock, right, and I'm still holding the shares, right, is that this downturn, right, seems a bit manufactured, especially going into the international share offering, right? You see they announced the international share offering somewhere here, and it's just straight down, right? Straight down. And I think there's a lot of people that have short positions and all of that. So I think it is possible to get another rally, and you have to remember that the people that bought the shares at 500 something, they are also looking to sell out at a higher price, right? So potentially putting on my tinfoil hat, if this is manufactured down, there can be a manufactured up, right? Because the share price will write its own narrative, right? You can see if the share price starts going up rapidly in the next few weeks, the narrative will be again, oh, these Bitcoin treasuries are hot again. You know, they made so much gain on their Bitcoin strategy. You know, Metaplanet raised $1.4 billion. That means there's so much investor appetite for this kind of place, right? So you do have to monitor all these things and also understand like how the cycle is moving, right? Because to me, this flywheel cycles, right? This was a huge flywheel cycle, right? Where everyone was discovering Bitcoin treasury companies, and back here I think Metaplanet was buying like 1,000 Bitcoin every week, right? When they only had like 4,000-5,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and then they were buying 1,000 2,000 here. So it fed into the narrative that these companies can really accumulate a lot of Bitcoin at very fast paces, right? So that's why we had this boom, right? And definitely here it was perhaps a bit overbought. That's why I said probably I should have sold some there. But yeah, still very bullish. If you take a look at all these cycles, they're extremely compressed, right? This perhaps in a normal stock would be a 2-3 years drawdown, but it happened all in 84 days. And this upswing in a normal stock would also be a 2-3 years upswing, but it happened in like 100 something days, right? So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead, and peace out.